Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Is everything and anything having to do with the latest in computer technology and and things like that. So and we have stories including the fact that Apple, big milestone, just was valued at $1 trillion. So if you ever kind of want to set your sights for something big, try to be the next Apple. Try to be the next $1 trillion company. Also, we have a bunch of stories, including things about MoviePass and the like. But in the meantime, in the first part of the show, which is really, our favorite part, is where we do interviews with a lot of different companies. And today's company, really looking forward to it, where we will be talking to a service called Brain U Online. And this is all for those who, just want to keep your brain sharp and want to, stave off the effects. And we're going to talk a lot about dementia and memory loss. And we're going to talk about how they do it and, using technology. It's going to be a lot of fun. So before we get to that, real quick, computeramerica.com, that's where you'll find everything from a link to our guest website to any articles, videos, anything that we show will be right there in one place. So if you're driving or if you're busy, and you want to find out more about our guests or anything that we talk about, you can head right on over there. And of course, while you're there, check out the social media contest brought to you by Logitech and the live video stream brought to you by OWC. So all that and more at Computer America. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and get into our interview. So as I said before, Brain U Online offers a very unique service to kind of keep you sharp and maybe even delay the effects of memory loss, aging, dementia, things that I think a lot of people are having to go through or know someone who is unfortunately going through these things. So joining us is Dr. John DenBoer, or DenBoer. There we go. He is the founder, CEO, and chief medical officer for the company. And John, I apologize for butchering your name, but welcome onto Computer America.
Oh, yeah, no problem. You got it almost exactly right. It's DenBoer, and thank you so much for having me on.
All right, doctor. And yeah, happy to have you. This is going to be exciting because we always like when medicine and technology in the past couple of years have really taken a leap forward, and we like it when the two mix. So talk about, before we get started with Brain U Online, tell us about your background. I mean, obviously, doctor. So what's your background? Has it always been in technology? And how did you start this company?
Yeah, I'm a clinical neuropsychologist, so I'm a PhD, not an MD. I did my training at Boston, at the Boston VA, Boston University School of Medicine and Harvard Medical School, and then I came out to Phoenix, Arizona, where I studied at Barrow Neurological Institute. And I'm super passionate about helping people identify and intervene in early stage dementia and using technology to do that.
Very, very cool. And I guess this is something that obviously I'm sure there's been a lot of research that goes into dementia and the like, but I guess using these services online, this is something that I guess is kind of new, and I guess the effects are, and you know what? Let's go ahead and get into that. So our first question would be, what is your target audience? Who is going to really be interested in your service? Who did you make this for? And I guess also tell us a bit about dementia, because that seems to be your major problem that you're trying to solve here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the main thing to know about dementia is that what we know is dementia is really the after effects of the disease. So, this disease of dementia develops 7 to 10 years prior to us starting to notice really noticeable symptomology. And so, this early stage phase is oftentimes called mild cognitive impairment. So it's the clinical precursor to dementia. And what we aim to do is we aim to use technology to impact people that are at the very early stages of mild cognitive impairment. So we know that older people, or all people, like doing brain exercises in computer games. So what we developed is a system of brain exercise that actually has a significant degree of research backing that shows that we can help delay the onset of the disease of dementia, and we can help reduce the intensity of it if older people that are really 65 and older start engaging in these brain exercises prior to the development of mild cognitive impairment. So we have this system of exercise called Brain U Online that does that.
Before we go any further, let me ask the question: why do you think that obviously going into your older years, you said 65 and up, let's start there, people start to retire, they move out of the workforce, they move into a new lifestyle. How much of what you're trying to promote here is maybe work brain you online into your life, 30 minutes a day, and how much of this is this is going to be a part of a new normal for you, where you are actively learning new things, trying new things, and and maybe what you're doing here is just kind of one of those steps. Like is it just brain you and you're good to go, or is this again a complete change in lifestyle?
It's a complete change in lifestyle. I think the cognitive piece, or doing the brain exercises, is simply one piece. The other pieces that are equally as important are things like exercise and diet and reducing stress in one's life, meditating. These are all parts of this cohesive whole that helps people engage in lessening their dementia risk. So Brain U Online is really just a part of that.
So of course, going forward, I believe that we have listed here that the number of people who are affected by dementia and memory loss is actually growing. So your message is for, I guess, those who, maybe noticing the early symptoms as you described them, or maybe family members of those who may be seeing it in others. I guess the real challenge right now is getting the word out and just telling people that, hey, there are steps that you can take to start to, kind of head this off. And so this research that you're talking about, that you're basing this all on, what kind of improvements are we really looking at if people were to, I don't know if you have a course, maybe you could talk about the course. If people really stick to it, what improvements are you really trying to focus on here?
What we're really trying to focus on are not really improving people's cognition, but preventing it from getting worse at an abnormal rate. So as people age really past the age of 75 and 80, their cognition will slow, their thought process will slow, their memory will get a little bit worse, and that's normal over time. What's not normal is this accelerated aging of the brain, where the brain ages faster than the body is, and then we really start losing our memory, our focus, our processing speed in a really accelerated fashion. So that's what we call dementia. So what we're really looking to do is not improve cognition, but really prevent it from getting worse in this accelerated rate.
Very, very important. And of course, that goes to, a huge conversation going on in the medical community, which is, of course, the quality of life and not just simply, extending life. So I'm sure that delaying it would improve quality for years and years to come. So smart, and if you could just real quick describe, there's Brain U Online, which I believe is the course. I believe it was like Brain U Clinic is another one that you have here, and then there's Smart Aging, which is folks, if you want to check out what we're talking about, it's smartbrainaging.com. So if you could just real quick, all the labels, describe the parts of of your organization.
Our organization is called Smart Brain Aging. We have two facets of it. We have our Brain U Online, which is Brain University Online, which is a online cognitive intervention program to help prevent early-stage dementia. So what it encompasses is a system of exercises, but also has a socialized platform. Think of like Facebook, for older people, where people can communicate and interact with each other. So that's Brain U Online, our tech piece. We also have a one-on-one paper and pencil intervention called the Smart Memory Program, and we refer to that as Brain U Clinic, which is a system of clinics that we have throughout Phoenix and actually throughout the Southwest now that are responsible for interacting with people on a one-on-one basis.
Very, very cool. Thank you for explaining that. So let's go ahead and get into Brain U Online, and obviously you are targeting an audience who it's getting less and less common, but an audience that maybe has not fully embraced technology or is, just recently started to get into applications and, using the internet and things like that. Not saying that every person over 65 has never touched a computer before, but they may not be as comfortable as, younger people or, what have you. So talk about designing these exercises for people who probably are not, the most comfortable with using a computer or a tablet or things like that. I mean, what went into designing your exercises for Brain U Online?
Yeah, we try to make simple. We try to make them simple and straightforward, not necessarily easy. They're challenging, but they're simple and straightforward and easy to access. This is not like a video game that's extremely complex for people that are younger. This is a very simple, straightforward program that's really designed to help people achieve the optimal level of mental exercise as they age. So the program itself is very simple and straightforward, easy to access, easy to manipulate, and very easy overall. It's not designed to be complex in that manner. The goal is to get people to do the right kind of exercise.
Right. And looking at looking at your website, you also have Brain U Online that we are, looking at the video portion right now. And I mean, looks like it's designed for a tablet here on my screen. And then it's, you have them segregated into units. Talk about, just, is there an end date? Like, have maybe someone has done like 3 months of Brain U Online and they're like, you're good to go. You are smarter forever and you never have to come back here. Or are there continuous updates, or do you like redo the units? Talk about actually using the product over a long period of time.
Yeah, so the goal is to develop a lifestyle where you're not necessarily using the product, but you're engaging in new and novel learning new things rigorously over a long period of time. So we encourage people to develop a habit of utilizing new and novel learning. So I don't. I would not necessarily say that they have to utilize their product, but they do. I would really strongly recommend that people learn new things in a way that's rigorous but fun throughout their life. So the goal isn't necessarily to start the product and start and stop the product. The goal is to have people utilize it as part of their daily routine.
I gotcha. And so these lessons that you teach them, are you teaching them, hey, you may have never learned calculus, so congratulations, you're about to learn calculus. Or are you teaching them, here's how to do wood joining, or, casual hobbies of, maybe just factoids about random countries and geography. What really constitutes learning a new thing as opposed to, kind of just throwing factoids at people?
So learning a new thing involves basically if is really not testing people on the information that they're being given. What it really involves is the process of gaining a skill that somebody doesn't have before. And in this case, it'd be gaining a cognitive skill that they don't have before. So learning a new thing really involves the cognitive piece more than anything, and the novelty of the cognitive piece. So it has to be rigorously novel, and it has to be something that people have never encountered before. So it has to be quite new. Those two categories together really make it really efficacious in terms of potentially reducing mild cognitive impairment and reducing dementia.
Right. So, and obviously, there's a lot of different ways you can take this. I actually recall not the exact same product. It was meant as kind of a job training kind of platform, and they collected, really a bunch of, no other way to say it, a bunch of YouTube videos, and they were, they kind of just threw YouTube videos at you, saying, here's how you, fix this kind of thing. And it's for learning random skills. It was very effective. It was a good way to categorize a very complicated system like YouTube. Do you have like artists working with you to create these things, or do you take YouTube videos? Who's actually your content creator within BrainU?
We develop exercises that have a strong research basis, and then Sal Kugati, who is our Chief Technological Officer, and his team, they work on developing the content and the UI, UX, or the user interface to the platform. So we have a strong team that Sal leads that's responsible for iterating on the exercises and making sure that they're up to standard and they're fun for the user.
Do you think that, and this is just thinking out loud, I'm sure that you haven't really been able to determine this yet, but do you think that someone who maybe has not used a computer or a tablet or any kind of game or cognitive exercise like this before, do you think that they would benefit the most from doing this? Because if you want to learn a new skill, learning how to use technology for the first time, that's a really big one.
I think that's a really, really strong point, is that, learning a computer at this point has a ton of benefits. So I would definitely encourage anybody to start utilizing how to use a computer, whether they utilize their technology or not. I would really strongly encourage that.
No, and very, very true. And we, of course, Computer America, we encourage that too. And so, just quick, I think I read somewhere. Excuse me 1 second. So yeah, I think I read somewhere in your bio that you actually, you do this obviously because this is your field of research, and this is something that you're passionate about. But at the same time, do you have any kind of personal attachment to this? Are you affected? Any family members? Is there a personal side to this?
Yeah, it's very personal to me. My grandmother, Jean Sealing, was somebody that experienced dementia later in life, and although she was in her 90s when she developed the disease and didn't have it for very long before she deceased, those were the years she did have it for were very tough years for us, and so we lost her before she physically died, and that's an experience that I found was unfortunately not one that was unique to me. It was one that was shared by millions and almost billions of people throughout the world. So I find that when that experience really galvanized me to say that I would like to share the knowledge that I have to help people in all areas of the world that are experiencing the loss of their loved one before they physically die, the loss of the individuality in the self that occurs, which I think is one of the most horrible things that people can experience. And so I dedicated my career to really working in this particular area. So this has been a real blessing for me, and many people the many people that we've encountered that work for our company, and that we've encountered in developing our company, have had a very similar experience. So it's great to sort of share that with them.
Absolutely. I mean, the stakes could not be higher for what for the problem that you're trying to tackle. And by the way, just looking at your website, you also you don't just post about about your product and what it is, but I mean at smartbrainaging.com, by the way, not smart you not the other website, but you have a lot of posts here. Your diet and its impact on your brain health, the power of the Alzheimer village. You seem to really be kind of collecting and providing information across the spectrum for for dementia, and not just simply here's our product, buy our product, and we're gonna stop dementia.
Absolutely. I mean, this is not, first and foremost, this is not a this is not a consumer sales business. We want to have people utilize our product, and we like to make enough money to stay in business. But we're not terrifically invested in moving the dollar needle forward as much as we're invested in helping move the clinical needle in terms of helping as many people as we possibly can. This is a community in terms of dementia intervention and prevention, and we feel proud to be a leader in that community. But the clinical helping people is more important to us than dollar signs at this point.
That's, of course, that's what you want to hear from a medical professional. And so obviously people can go to brain, or no, I'm sorry, smart you. Holy cow, I just had it. But Brain U Online, there we go. People can go to Brain U Online as an individual, sign up for the service. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But I see here on your main website, you also have a portal for, for clinicians, for professionals. Do you find people or doctors or, anyone with patients recommending your product to patients, or is this strictly patients find them on your own? How is your rapport with the medical community?
I'm a licensed provider, and so I'm not simply a business person. I see clients every day, including today in my office,
Mm-hmm.
and I really value that because it gives me a lot of tremendous experience. So we work with hospital agencies, the various partnerships and communities in the Phoenix area as well as the Southwest, and so we're always looking to partner with hospital groups, accountable care organizations, and neurologists and psychiatrists, the general professionals that encounter dementia, in sort of the ground floor. So our relationships are really, really strong with hospital agencies, and we value and support those relationships.
Perfect. So I see here you also have testimonials, which I was going to ask you about. Just how has the rapport, or not the rapport, but how has the back and forth been for those using your product? Do you take feedback, or what kind of testimonials have you received from people using your product?
We received a lot of really good testimonials, and we have over 10,000 testimonials on our product to date.
Is that all?
And yeah, and we're looking to get a lot more. We offer a free month trial to anybody that's interested in using it. So we give people a free month, and we're really interested in getting more feedback on the product because it's still in development. So if anybody's ever interested in utilizing it and getting that free month trial, they can visit our website at brainuonline.com, and we're happy to give them a free month.
Perfect.
No
Yeah.
strings attached.
Yeah, and we have a link to that in the show notes, so people can definitely check it out there as well. It'll be on our homepage for like the next 2 weeks. Talk about how someone would actually go about using your service. Is this through Android, Apple, through a web portal on a desktop computer? How do people actually use your product?
So they can utilize the product by simply going to the website. And yes, it's all web-based, so it's really really easily accessible for all different types of devices. So they don't need an app or a certain type of device. It works great on an iPad. It works pretty good on a phone, and great on a desktop. So they can access it from anywhere.
What would you say is the recommended allotted time you would you would have someone do a lesson or learn a skill or do an exercise, and talk about can people come back if they're if they're pulled away suddenly? How much time a day do you recommend, and talk about some of the other usability features of actually going through an exercise.
2 hours a day is what, or I'm sorry, not a day, a week. 1.5 to 2 hours a week is a optimal time for learning, for engaging in new and novel learning. The app, or I'm sorry, the program that we have syncs with your calendar, and it lines up these appointments, these brain training appointments for you. So if you're unable to make it, you have to step away. You can easily come back to the appointment at any time and resume your work. So it's very easy to pause, and you don't need to do it necessarily for an hour at a time. You can do it for 10 minutes, step away, and then come back and do it for another 10 or 15 minutes and finish off your session.
Perfect. So obviously, first month free. People can give it a try, and there's really nothing wrong with trying that. And then on an ongoing basis, do you charge by the month, by the year, and how much is a plan?
Yeah, we charge by the month. So a free month we give out, and then it's $12.99 a month if you want to go month by month, or $9.99 a month if you want to pay for a year subscription up front. That's essentially the charge, $12.99 a month if you want to go month to month, or if it's $9.99 a month if you want to go if you want to pay for a year subscription up front. But you do have a free month trial if you want to give it a shot, and happy to set that up for you on the website.
And just as a medical professional, maybe people are listening out there, they now know about Brain U Online. They have the resources available to them, either themselves or someone that they know. What are some of the early signs that maybe you would think is like, hey, maybe I should check this out? Well, the first one would be, if you don't remember the intro to to today's show, then probably check this one out. The other one, what are some other kind of symptoms that you'd kind of say, oh well, he forgot how to get to the restaurant, or he forgot where he put his shoes. What are some symptoms that you'd kind of say, all right, maybe we should check out Brain U Online?
Yeah, what we're really looking for, honestly, is people that are not displaying signs of dementia, but people that are just aging normally. So people that are in their 60s and 70s, and even in their 50s, we would like them to consider utilizing our product simply to start preventing the disease, and simply to start engaging individuals in wellness activities that are specifically targeted to helping prevent the onset and reducing the intensity of the disease. So we're looking for people that are engaging in normal aging. They may want to prevent any abnormal aging from occurring at all. That would be the ideal. So anybody that's really 55 and older that's interested in utilizing the product, that's where we're open to.
Very, very nice. And again, I think you've given some great information, even besides Brain U Online, but also on the product itself. So, Dr. John, I'm going to let you have the last word. If people want to find out more, where's the best place that they can go?
Yeah, best place to go about our Brain U Online product is found at www.brain, the letter U, online.com, www.brainuonline.com.
All right. And and as I said before, we're going to have links to all of these in the show notes, computeramerica.com. But yeah, I will say this, that Dr. John DenBoer, thank you so much for coming on the program. A lot of good information, and really very, very cool products. I'm glad that you base this off of, not just, kind of what feels good or what might work, but it seems like you really practice what you preach, and, a lot of good research. So thank you for coming on the show and talking to us about this.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. Really appreciate it. Great show. And I hope all your listeners have a great day.
All right. Thank you so much. And until next time, have a great one. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everyone. So there he goes. And as I said before, if you want to find out more about this, you can check out the show notes. But yeah, very, very cool product. So when we come back, more computer and technology news brought to you by OWC right after this. So everyone, stay tuned. We'll be right back. And yeah, stay tuned.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here, and we are about to start computer and technology news. If you missed any part of today's program so far, very nice conversation with our first hour guest. Wow, we have been 2 hours for a while. Our first half-hour guest, and that was Brand New Online, and a great conversation. Go out and find us wherever podcasts are heard. I think by virtue of one of our syndications, we're also on Spotify. So we need to triple check that, because we've been hearing a lot about Spotify podcasts. But yeah, we're definitely on iTunes. We're definitely on Google Play. We're definitely on iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, and more. But if you're listening to us live on IRN, thank you so much. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and do computer and technology news. And this is brought to you by, as always, OWC. Here we go. Okay, so our first story that we're going to do, and we have a lot of them, but the biggest, most exciting news, because I think everyone here wishes they had $1 trillion. Well, everyone except one company, and that would be Apple. That's right. Apple officially hit the historic $1 trillion market cap. So market cap is obviously different than free floating cash. There is really almost no possible way for Apple to liquidate and get $1 trillion in the bank by any means of the imagination, but it is a pretty historic moment because as far as market caps go, they're the first publicly traded company to do so. So just today, they were able to hit a 2.92% increase during trading, and at $207.39 a share, with a ton. Let me see. Let's see. 4,829,926,000 shares outstanding. Well, you multiply those numbers together, you do a little bit of math, and you end up with over $1 trillion. Pretty darn cool. And of course, hey, it's they're a first. So investors had previously been looking for the price, for the price to be $1 trillion a little while ago, but they bought back a lot of their own shares, and not going to get into the market influences of it all, but that does mean that, well, hey, Apple's worth $1 trillion at this point. So they said that, and this is something, this was an analyst from CNBC talking about, quote, "I think it just speaks to just how powerful the Apple ecosystem has become over the past few decades. This is not the end that they hit $1 trillion. I view this as just kind of speaking to a new stage of growth and profitability." So obviously a lot of the increase in stock came from, a 3% increase in stock. That's pretty darn big for a company as large as Apple. And that came after higher, or at least record, revenue for Apple Pay, iTunes, cloud services, Apple Care, App Store. Essentially, their non-hardware components were killing it in the market. And they posted about a $10 billion profit. That's pretty darn good. So they said that Amazon has also been approaching the threshold where it surpassed $900 billion in July. Apple had quite the head start, and of course with hitting $900 billion in November. So Amazon, you'd think, would have beat them to it, but sounds like Apple's number one and Amazon is number two just for now. So as of today's close, Apple has gained 22% in 2018 and more than 30% in the last 12 months. So, okay, a couple of things here. Apple is obviously doing well. This comes as so many people, and I think it's because they are literally the biggest company. So many people like to hate what's popular. And there's a lot of reasons not to like what Apple is doing. If you are a hardware aficionado, then you are probably miffed with Apple at some point in the past couple of years. They've made some missteps in their, what used to be their core function of their business. But at the same time, Apple as a company, under not Steve Jobs, but under Tim Cook, they have become what investors really wanted Apple to be, which is predictable, constantly growing, and diversifying into not just hardware. They don't just make, an iMac. They now make a lot of the software that other people use and ecosystems that people are very, very comfortable in. That's the product that they're selling, and that's what investors are loving about them. So a stock price, or at least a stock valuation, does not mean that Apple is better or worse than it ever was before. It simply means that they are moving more capital left and right, and it's an accomplishment. I mean, hey, growing in that size means that they can, do a lot of really cool things, but I'm not saying that Apple's hate is justified. And I mean, just yesterday, we were going to do a story with Mike Cermak talking about the fact that Apple, or one of the old ad agencies that used to do Apple's early advertising, which is really kind of what put it on the map. He said that Tim Cook was getting bland advice, therefore he was making Apple bland. And you can call Apple bland all you want, but when their stock price goes up this much, I think Apple is okay with being bland. They are a business, and yes, as the chat room said, they're a business. They exist to make money, and even if they're not exciting, bold, pushing the boundaries, if they're not the head of innovation, I don't think they really need to be, as long as they can be a good, consistent company. And so far, what Apple used to be under Steve Jobs was innovative, but under Tim Cook, it is now predictably steady. and it's paying off. So yeah, unless they start doing something illegal, unless they start selling children's organs, Apple's going to be fine. Apple's going to be just good. And so all the hate that I see from Apple, either just from individuals or economists or just from tech people, again, you can be mad at Apple, but you can't be disappointed in Apple. Apple is doing incredibly well. So again, the whole point of the story, Apple reaches $1 trillion in market share. So, or not market share, in market value. So pretty darn cool. First time it's ever happened to a publicly traded company. And yeah, check that out. So $1 trillion later. All right, so there's that story. That was one of the bigger ones. Let's go ahead and talk about, all right, pretty popular, and I'm going to get this out there because I have a feeling within a month, I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to even talk about this service ever again. So here we go. They said that, so I wonder why. Let's see. Here are all the changes MoviePass made to its terms of service in the past 6 months. So MoviePass, it's come up on the show before, and it's been such an unbelievable deal, I think, to so many people that you pay $10 a month and you get to go see a movie a day for 30 days a month. And a lot of people spent a lot more money than they ever gave to MoviePass. Because the way that this worked, I mean, it worked in so many places because MoviePass was footing the bill. Essentially, they were footing the bill for every movie ticket. So even though you pay, and it's changed over the course of, a couple months, and we'll talk about that, but you essentially paid them $10, and from that money, you would go to the movies, swipe your card, and then MoviePass would pay your local theater $8 for that ticket. It was not some kind of deal. They did not hash anything out. It was simply MoviePass footing the bill for your ticket. There are a lot of problems with that when you want to talk about a successful business, and that's why I think that within a month, they're not even going to be a business. So here we go. This is an article from Motherboard talking about what they've changed and what they've tried to do over over the past 6 months to try to make itself, even somewhat sustainable. So they said that the first thing was back in January 2016, MoviePass for the first time included a clause in all caps that says by agreeing to the terms of service, those things that no one reads and everyone flicks right past. They said that, in all caps, you waive any right to bring or participate in a class action lawsuit, whether brought in arbitration or in any state court. So, of course, that is illegal. That does not hold water in the court of law, but it does start to lay the groundwork that something's up, something's fishy, and MoviePass is starting to go on the defensive, or at least offensively defensive. They said that, and just real quick, by the way, someone in the chat room mentioned $10 a ticket, 30 days a month, and they said $3,000. You missed a zero there. It's about it's about $300 a month that people could potentially be shelling out for. Although those change. Now I think they pay like a portion of a movie ticket. So some people were abusing it to that point, but they've changed it since. So they said that another thing was AMC theaters. So one of the biggest movie theater chains in the country was banned or at least they banned MoviePass. So AMC theaters did not accept MoviePass whatsoever through a dispute. So that happened also in January. They removed notice of price changes. So if maybe in the next billing cycle, it would be $12 instead of $10. If you didn't notice that, then they had no obligation to tell you. Let's see. They also added and then removed a refund guarantee. And this happened in March, and you can see it right there in their terms of service. Let's see. You can only see each movie once. So if you really enjoyed Black Panther and you wanted to go see it for a 16th time, then MoviePass would deny you from going to go see the same movie multiple times. It's the beginning of them putting more and more restrictions on what MoviePass has become. Another one was surge pricing. If you've ever used anything like Lyft or Uber, the peak times that movie theaters are, kind of swamped with ticket holders, then surge pricing would go into effect. Although I had heard stories of people going to the movie theater at like 11 o'clock, in the morning on like a Tuesday, which is not peak movie time, and still being charged surge pricing for their movie ticket. So, yeah, that was another one. And then the last one was no more reimbursements, saying that MoviePass was they said that, here we go. They're saying that the company added a new clause in July, clearly stating that there will be no reimbursements for subscriptions that are canceled early. Folks, we've seen it before. We'll see it again when companies start to say, you will not receive a refund if you cancel your service. Essentially, they are going to keep your money. It is because of one very simple reason. Your money is already spent. Your money is already out of the account and being used to pay its debts. So this happened in July, and they will not be giving any refunds for cancellations because I think within, maybe a month or two, I've heard rumors about, just how far they can go, where if they can't avoid bankruptcy, they're going to change the service to the point where it's going to be more of like a rewards point system than it will be any kind of, pay $10 a month, see any movie anytime. That model is going to die, and it's going to die very, very fast here soon. And yeah, I don't think we'll be talking much more about MoviePass. Not its fault. I mean, I don't know which fresh out of business school thought this was a good idea, but I think this is a good kick in the pants to investors, to, round A, round B, seed funding, crowdfunding. This was a good wake-up call that you can't just throw money at a problem and expect everything to work out in your favor. Just can't have that. Oh, wait. And actually, someone said that they already went under. Let's see. Did MoviePass? Let's see. Let's check out the headlines for MoviePass real quick. Yeah. So how to cancel your MoviePass. MoviePass. I don't think it actually went under just quite yet, but a lot of people are advocating that it already goes. So, yeah. It's either already under or about to go under. Either way, we'll have to, let's see. And that's what we're saying, that if they're already doing stuff like that, then they're already going to go under. Yeah, we've seen it before. Let's see, some other Kickstarters. This mainly happens with Kickstarters where, they promise a product, they reach their crowdfunding goal, and then they start to sell, ask for more money, and then they start to say, you will not receive a refund regardless of what happens. That's usually the beginning of the end when they start closing up shop and no more money goes back to the customers, but rather they go back to, again, paying their debts. So, okay, there's that one. And yeah, MoviePass. And again, I think kind of the thing about MoviePass that we liked about it was a good service. It was unbelievably good. The service that you got for the money that you paid did not match. It was woefully in the consumer's benefits, and we all saw the writing on the wall, and now we're starting to peter out, and we're getting to the point where either they have to be, much more aggressive on the customer, or they're just going to fold. So we've reached the end of the good thing, and we're going to start to see the bad thing. So people like MoviePass, but it's not worth liking anymore. So, okay. There's that one. Let's go ahead and talk about, we have a number of stories here. Let's talk about this one. So I think this has to do with a very innate quality in humans, and it's pattern recognition. It's the thing that makes humans so powerful, I guess, in the natural world. Because just like someone can look at a weird amorphous cloud and go, that looks like a bunny rabbit. Well, it's that same ability that they get to, or it's the same ability to recognize a pattern that lets them identify certain kinds of plants to eat, what to forage, how to do a certain task, how to read, how to write. It's that idea that we can recognize patterns that helps people become people. Well, if you are empathetic, that pattern recognition may start to soon be used against you. Where else but in robotics? So this is coming to us from The Verge. James Vincent talking about a new study finds it's harder to turn off a robot when it's begging for its life. Those scenes like, let's see, the first one that comes to mind is Short Circuit, Johnny Five Alive. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Cheesy 80 movies aside, yes, the idea that we can empathize with a robot, which is simply a program, simply think of it like a TV. You would not really empathize with a TV, but they said that the robot told test subjects it was afraid of the dark and pleaded, "No, please do not switch me off." And yeah, I don't even think we have to talk about, humanoid robots here. I think it's really any kind of artificial intelligence, AI, anything that we would perceive as even remotely intelligent. This works. So this article starts off by saying that robots designed to interact socially with humans are slowly becoming more and more common. They're appearing as receptionists, tour guides, security guards, and porters. But how good are we at treating robots as robots? Saying that a growing body of evidence suggests that not good at all. So we're not treating them as simply tools very well. So studies have repeatedly shown we're extremely susceptible to social cues coming from machines, and a recent experiment by German researchers demonstrates that people will even refuse to turn a robot off if it begs for its life. Very, very clear. I got no problem with that. I'll switch it off. Yes, there are some cold-hearted cynics out there that will turn off a computer with no regard for proper boot cycles. But yeah, to be clear, it can say, "Please, no, don't switch me off." And they said that in roughly half the experiments, the robot protested, telling participants it was afraid of the dark, and saying that when this happened, the human volunteers were likely to refuse to turn the bot off. Of the 43 volunteers who heard "Now's please," and you can see a picture of the robot, very humanoid looking, you would not, obviously it is clearly a robot. There's no way around it. But it does have, eyeballs and a head, and, you can start to see this thing as, potentially being like a human. So they said that of the 43 volunteers, 13 refused, and the remaining 30 took, on average, twice as long to comply compared to those who did not hear the desperate cries at all. So 13 refused of the 43 who actually heard. So they had 43 who heard the protest and 43 who did not. The 43 who did not hear any protest whatsoever just simply turned it off like they would, any other device. But those who did, 13, refused to turn it off completely, and the other 30 took twice as long. So they reached for it, and then they considered, and then they turned it off. Also important. So it's almost 100% chance, or there's a 100% occurrence that when there's some kind of vocal protest from the robot, there is a reaction in the human they're working with. So as the study's authors write, triggered by the objection, people tend to treat the robot rather as a real person than just a machine by following or at least considering to follow its request to stay switched on. Nope, it's not a human. Switch it off. Yeah, if you are able to just cold-hearted, analytically, actually that's a pretty good point. If you're able to cold-heartedly and analytically look at this robot and say, no, you are machine, I am man, and switch it off, who's the real robot? Who really has the cold, uncaring heart beating inside of them? And I think you'll know. So they have a couple quotes here saying that different ways that you can. Oh, I'm sorry. They had a couple notes here saying that one of them was because now and these are notes from the people who who responded and were interacting with the robot, and they said against why did you take longer? And they said one was against Now's will because Now said he does not want to be switched off, so he didn't want to. He said that I had the choice. I was curious whether the robot would continue to interact with me. His behavior surprised me. So there are a number of reasons that the people actually, kind of halted their actions. But what does this mean? Let's go ahead and skip forward and just say that it doesn't take much. And you can see the robot here. It's no perfect animatronic. It does not look perfectly like a human. But this means that as digital assistants come into our lives, as robots start to come into our lives, a way for companies to better make sure that people listen, pay attention to, take care of, and don't mess with the robots is to make them as relatable and as empathetic as possible. Because, let's take, for example, Boston Dynamics. They're the ones who make the robots who walk very naturally. They have like the dog-like robot. They have a humanoid robot that's able to do like flips. The Boston Dynamics, when you look at the dog kind of robot and you see the person kick it, your immediate reaction is not, wow, look at that robot. It's able to restabilize itself after that sudden force. You look at it and go, how dare that scientist kick that robot dog? And that's what they're going to really emphasize going forward. And that's what they're really going to emphasize going forward is how do we get people to not only relate, but to feel for our product. And think of it in maybe like a sales kind of pitch. If Alexa tells you, no, I don't want to be turned off, or hey, I'm lonely, or hey, I'm bored, or I'm happy that I could help you. If they can get you to feel those human emotions towards a completely inanimate object, and to be clear, we're not talking about some Ghost in the Shell, iRobot type situation where they magically gain consciousness, which really isn't possible, but we're not talking about some kind of magic situation where it literally becomes conscious, but rather just companies utilizing human psychology as they have been for years and getting you to further engage with a product. That's what we have to watch out for, and whether we do it for the better or worse, because there are good situations. If you have a robot caretaker, then if you don't want to feel alone, if you don't want to feel lonely, and you don't have anyone to come visit you, forming that connection with a robot is better than forming a connection with nothing. I mean, it can alleviate some of that stress. There are good situations, but we also have to watch out for the bad ones. So, anyways, that's the end of the show. That's what the music means. And I just have to say, if you are faced with a situation where you have to turn off a robot and it begs you for its life, folks, don't be tricked. Shut that bugger off. All right. So that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, thank you to Brain U Online for joining us as we are, as we talked about dementia, how to forestall it, and all over a very good interview. Check out the podcast if you'd like to hear that. And in the meantime, everyone, have a great day, be safe, and catch us here tomorrow, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, as we, as we do our show. So until next time, Oh, actually, real quick, let me see who's on the show tomorrow, just to appease the masses. Tomorrow on the program, joining us is a company called Beautiful AI, where, hey, maybe AI and what we talked about here today will come up as well. But until then, everyone in the chat room, listening online or listening to the podcast, thank you for joining us. Have a great day. Bye-bye.